Welcome back to another review, and in today's one we're checking out the range topping and final boss within the Isuzu Bakkie range. This is the Isuzu D-Max Arctic Trucks AT35. So the Arctic Trucks AT35, this thing is pretty cool. It looks the part, it's aggressive, it's wide, it commands road presence, and it's just no Isuzu you've ever seen before. So why does this exist and why does it look like it does? Well, that's because a company called Arctic Trucks and Isuzu came together to form this. So Arctic Trucks is a company that kits out cars, makes them more capable and being able to go literally anywhere, and by doing that they raise the car, they give it off-road suspension, they give it everything you need to be able to not get stopped by anything in your way off-road. So what they've done here is they've taken a standard Isuzu D-Max, because this is what it is, but they've given it flared wheeled arches, they've given it 35-inch tires, 17-inch wheels. So although this has been lifted, those wheels definitely still fill that gap and give this thing a monster truck feeling. But underneath the car you've got protection. As I've said, you've got the widened arches. You've also got side steps that are also widened so they can kind of fit the width of this car. And then coming around the back, you're going to find a sports bar with red accents and AT35 badging all over, just to remind you that you are driving something very different. So the looks definitely remind you that you're driving something very different, but you're still essentially driving a D-Max V-Cross, right? So you've still got the same engine up front, which is the 3-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel, putting out 140 kilowatts and 450 Newton meters of torque, which I think was a bit unexpected when this car came out. I think people were wondering, you're giving us this thing that looks like a monster truck that stands out, it looks so aggressive, but you're still giving us the same power delivery. Now, on the one hand, some people and Isuzu diehards would say, that's fine, we're happy with it, it's reliable, it's just enough power for what we need. So I think that's what might have put people off from this car originally, is that when this came out with its aggressive looks, its monster truck styling and everything like that, the power didn't really reflect the looks. So I think people were expecting something a little bit more powerful, say in the 160 or even 170 kilowatt range, and definitely at least 500 Newton meters of torque to match the competition. But speaking of competition, there really is, okay, I think there might be. So now, which wasn't when this came out, there could be the the Ford Ranger Tremor, which I think might match this one because of its tires and its off-road suspension and things like that. But otherwise, the only real other competition would be the Ranger Raptor, which to me isn't really competition because the Ranger Raptor is just in a league of its own. So yeah, it looks aggressive, it's still a D-Max, it drives the same, but power delivery aside, I think this is still a pretty epic car. So as I've said, you've got the raised suspension, which is actually a Bilstein suspension, so you've got all of that around the car. It's a renowned brand, so you know that you're going to be getting good performance out of them. But on the inside of the car here, it is standard D-Max V-Cross, which isn't a bad thing because you're getting soft touch materials on the dashboard, you're getting some contrast stitching, you're getting the nice leather seats, leather covered armrests on the doors as well, but you are still getting scratchy plastics up here on the top. And with this car costing just over 1.1 million rand, I think you'd expect it to be a little bit more attention paid to the things like this. Now, if you can do it on the dashboard, you can definitely still do it here. So things I love about this car, which I saw in the MUX as well as the X-Rider, is that split cubby hole. So you've got one at the top, you've got one at the bottom, all of the storage that you need. But standard on this AT35, you're going to find these leather seats, but they've also got the AT35 embroidering badging in them as well, which you've been able to see throughout the whole video. But it doesn't just stop there on the interior, you're also getting AT35 rubber mats, so they're protecting the inside of your car, the carpets that are there, you're not going to get them all dirty. So that comes standard with this, as well as some AT35 badging down here near the 6-speed transmission. The interior is still a nice place to be. It's comfortable, the seats are comfortable. You've got electronically adjustable seats, which is also a good thing. You've got this black roof lining, so it makes it look premium, it makes it look and feel sporty in here, which is also a good thing. In front of the driver, you've got a leather steering wheel. You've also got a standard gauge cluster, so you don't have a full digital one, which I think you would find now in the competition vehicles. But that's okay, because we're keeping with the theme of, if it ain't broke, don't change it. Isuzu, so that's going to be the engine, the gauge cluster, the traditional dials, a small little digital display. It is what it is, but I'm pretty sure they're planning on bringing some epic changes to whatever car they bring in to replace this current version of the D-Max V-Cross or D-Max range. But although it might feel like it's a little bit dated, some things that are good comes down to safety. So you've got forward collision warning, you've got rear cross traffic alerts, you've also got the lane keep assist, which is also quite a good thing on a car like this and maybe unexpected, but that's still here, and it's good to know that you've got those safety systems to look after you. Some other cool things from a tech point of view is that you've got a 9-inch infotainment with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is linked to your reverse camera with all of the park sensors that you need. And always a win in my book is a separated climate control, which is what you're going to see across the Isuzu range, especially in the MU-X2. A separate climate control, it's digital, it's also dual zone, which is a great thing. Underneath that, you're going to find wireless phone charging, and down the center of the console, you've got the buttons to control everything you need when going off-road, from your speed limited downhill descent control, as well as being able to lock the rear diff. But this car was built to go off-road, so let's do that. Alrighty, so some of the great things about going off-road in this new AT35 is that you are backed by the Isuzu off-roading credentials, but more on the actual physical side of things here, you do have you do have a rotary dial that you can turn down here to switch from 2 high to 4 high. You don't have to stop, you can literally just do it on the fly, just like that, and the car will now automatically go into 4-wheel or all-wheel drive. Some of the cool things about going off-road, as I mentioned earlier, was that you are able to lock your rear differentials, which is something that you can do down here. And yeah, I mean, just for this car being super capable, you're seriously high off the ground here. You've got some seriously big ground clearance. You've got all the underbody protection. You've also got those 35-inch tires. Now, the way that those have also been developed to be off-road tires is really cool, because you've got all the grip that you need, and they are built for going off-road entirely, which is also not a bad thing on the road. They don't make too much road noise. I did notice more road noise in the Mahindra Karoo Dawn. Those were really loud. So this being a passenger vehicle or to drive on the day-to-day is actually really nice. And then to talk about the drive quality. Now, the suspension is set up to be more off-road than on-road, but when you are on the road, it's actually not too bad. I did mention also earlier in the video that this is a lot more comfortable than a Hilux, so the suspension is slightly better than on-road, but off-road you can feel here now, every bump you go over you're going to feel, because it is very, very firm. You are going to be able to get all of that travel and articulation that you need for an off-roader like this. So while on the outside of the vehicle, I thought I'd take you on a quick little tour to show you exactly what's different on this AT35 versus some of your other standard Isuzu D-Maxes. So firstly, up front here, you're going to notice the car is much higher off the ground, and just like the others, you still have the metal underbody protection, which is great. But moving down the side is where things are going to change dramatically, because here you've got those flared wheel arches to obviously make up for how much wider of a track you have on a car here. So these are those massive big 35-inch tires, and hidden beneath there is where you'll find your Bilstein suspension, which is making the car sit that extra high. So that's pretty cool, and also really good for off-roading. Here down the side, you're going to find the side steps, which are also quite wide because they need to kind of match how wide and flared out these arches are. And then coming around the rear, again, more widened arches there. You've got the Arctic Trucks specific mudguards, which is quite a nice touch, as well as the AT35 badging, which is here, as well as on the front fender. But then looking in the back, it's all standard traditional bakkie back here. What is quite cool is that these are on gas struts, so it's not just going to fall down when you open it up. But what isn't standard is this roller shutter, which is a nice addition, but I think if they did opt to add this on here, it would also make that price point of this vehicle a little bit more tolerable. So yeah, I think that's everything we need to know about the AT35. I did also mention it's got the sports bar with the red accents, so that's what you'll see there. But otherwise, this is the beast. And then what's life like for your passengers in the rear? Now, double cabs are generally not known to have the best legroom in the world, but once you've climbed up Kilimanjaro to get in here, this is in my driving position in front here. So surprisingly, I've actually got pretty good legroom. My legs aren't even near to the seat in front here, and my head isn't even touching the roof, and I've got a cap on. So yeah, life's pretty good. They've got their own USB, there's no USB type C, and they've got little air vents, and that's literally it back here. Quite simple, quite basic, 2 cup holders, and that's it. Now, if you're in the market for an Isuzu D-Max AT35 or any Isuzu D-Max, anything in the range, go check one out on changecars.co.za. They're a website that sells new and used cars, but the best thing about them is that they vet and check every single dealership that sells cars on their website, meaning they're in full control of the quality of cars that they're selling to you, and you know that you are getting the best quality too. Now, a great thing about Change Cars' website is that there's like a hub for everything automotive. So you can go and watch car reviews, you can even get automotive advice, you can even do financial things. Every time I speak about Change Cars, I get Ford collision warning. I'm fine! As I was saying, their website is a hub for everything automotive, so you can go watch car reviews, you can get financial advice, and you can do some financial things, like going to see what you can afford per month through their finance calculator, and you can bring them quotes from dealerships that aren't on Change Cars, and not only will they match the quotes, but they'll beat it too. So go check out changecars.co.za. They're also a proud partner of Greg Dennis Reviews. And now for the verdict in the form of the GDR test. Should you get it, drive it, or remove it from the list of cars that you're looking at? Now, I'd recommend go and drive this. There's a lot of buckies on the market at the moment to choose from. So for me to go and say, go and buy this at over 1.1 million Rand, I don't think I can do. Yes, it's striking, it's got good looks, it's got a lot of dominance on the road, and it's very different. Well, maybe that's its selling point. But for me, the Wildtrak X, the new Ford Ranger Tremor, I think that there's a lot of options out there that can do functionally what this car can do. So thanks for watching this review. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a little bit more about this really cool Isuzu D-Max Arctic Trucks AT35. And if you did, please will you drop a like below, and if you want to see more videos like this and other car reviews, then please subscribe. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.